proud to talk about Jose. He is 29. He is such a great story, an amazing story. He was raised first generation migrant farm workers from Mexico. And even though his parents were educated well in Mexico, they couldn't transfer their credentials and qualifications. So to make money and have a better life in the United States, they moved their kids to first Texas, then California, and then West Michigan, where at the ages of 11, 12, 13, and so on, instead of going to sports camps and watching TV, reading books all summer long, Jose was up at 4:30 in the morning and working until 6 o'clock, working in the asparagus fields, harvesting crops as far as the eye could see, and that's how he helped put food on the table, Jose and his siblings. So they're a very close family from what I understand. He ended up coming to Lansing Community College, which is how he came down to mid-Michigan, and then finished his 4-year degree at Ferris State University, which was a family dream. He and his siblings are the first ones to get college degrees, and then LPD sponsored him through the academy. He wasn't sure if police work was really what he wanted to do after he saw some really nasty things that were troubling for him, and so he needed to sort of hit the reset button and decide if this was the dedicated career and journey for him, and he made that commitment and came to ELPD 2 years ago.
Awesome. So I've seen, it was in one of the articles, I want to say it was Lansing State Journal, when he first came to you, asking to take him on as a client after this incident, what were some of the things that he said to you to kind of persuade you to take him on?
Well, there is a panel of attorneys, essentially through either the union or self-funded insurance, depending on which department you work for, who will respond and potentially represent officers who are involved in physical response situations like a shooting as we have here. So I get the call within minutes of the incident, and I'm in the East Lansing Police Department, and we probably said hello and introduced ourselves, and he said, "Mr. Nichols, I want to know 2 things. I want to make sure my wife is okay, and I want to make sure that young man who was shot is going to be okay." Told me a lot about his character. It really, really did.
And so now tell me a little bit about, this incident and kind of when you started your research on it, what your initial reaction was and his initial reaction and everything that's kind of going on with it.
So what's been publicly released are essentially 6 videos and dispatch traffic, and then of course the report from the department to the Oversight Commission Monday night. What I'm comfortable talking about, because it's public, is some of the critical moments in this case. The 4 officers are dispatched to the Meyer on Lake Lansing Road because of a call about a man, black male, who took a gun out of his car and put it into his pocket. That's not open carry like there has been so much misinformation about. That's not a lawful act. That is unlawful conduct, and that's a felony. And in a setting like Meyer, the police officers have got to make at least contact with that individual. And that's the key. They needed to at least go find him and figure out what was going on. When they enter the store, you can see on the body-worn cameras for officers 3 and 4, they must have made some sort of eye contact with the subject, because they start running within about seconds. Both 3 and 4, both of those body-worn cameras, you'll see those officers running almost immediately after they're in the store. That tells me that they probably made eye contact with the young man and he took off. And then he's running at a high rate of speed out the east entrance. Another officer is drawn on because he's resisting by running. Will not put his hands where the officers can see them. Both hands, not just one. When the officer says hands, that means both hands. And he's flying by him at a high rate of speed. Another officer is then behind him, telling him, get down, you're going to get tased, get on the ground. He doesn't abide by that command, more resisting. And then at about this moment, you see, and I've got a couple of other photos, but at about this moment, as he's not obeying commands from the officers, we hear this officer say, he's got a gun, he's reaching. That's on the body-worn camera for officer number 2. And, you know, I don't know if this is a gun for sure, but it looks like it could be a gun, and that's a public safety threat to the public as well as to the officers. A few seconds later, if you look at the exterior video of Meyer, and this is from the exterior video, this young man in the black robber's mask with what appears to pretty clearly be a gun runs into these aisles of cars and ducks down. And he must have slid the gun under the cars, because this is where it's recovered, which you can see on the body-worn camera for, I believe, officer number 4. As he ducks down between the cars, the officers can't see him clearly because he's down between the cars. And if he's sliding a gun down there, they don't know it. So when in a few seconds he gets back up and starts running again, they have no idea that he's hidden his gun away. And as he's running toward the store, faster than that, they have to decide, you know, do I have the option to chase him? Do I have the option to keep yelling commands that so far have been fruitless? Decisions that have to be made in the blink of an eye about protecting the public. And that's what I believe happened, and that's what I believe the facts are going to show. And I'm pretty confident that these officers will be exonerated as they should be.
Perfect. That was going to lead into my next question was, are you feeling confident, you know, that they will be let off for any wrongdoing in this case?
Well, I'm not involved on the employment side. But as far as the Michigan State Police and the Michigan Attorney General's office's criminal investigation, I'm confident. I believe that the investigation is where it should be, in the hands of those very qualified departments. They are, I'm sure, doing a very thorough and detailed investigation. And I tend to think that at the end, in my opinion, there will be no criminal charges, because there's a lot of case law from our United States Supreme Court, starting with Tennessee versus Garner, that talk about when an officer can use even force that could be deadly with someone who's running away from them. And this is exactly that kind of situation, because they can't possibly know two things: that he's hidden his gun away, and whether or not he's got any intention when he's running into that store where there are a lot of people.
And that kind of leads to my next question, and this was something that was brought up at the Police Oversight Commission, the one, not the one last night, but the one a couple last
28th.
Yes.
Yeah.
They talked about an ordinance, and I don't know the exact numbers for this one, talking about when police officers can decide to shoot somebody that is running away. Do you know anything about that ordinance in this case?
Well, it wouldn't be an ordinance. It would be the physical response policy for the department. And the commission has a lot of input. They're there for a reason, because we live in a forward-thinking community in East Lansing with a forward-thinking police department.